And so with the buying information out of the way, where better to spend your sports touring wedge than on a Honda VFR? This bike is quite simply a living legend and has trounced all comers in the sports tourers class in its various guises over the years, and quite rightly so. It is pure Honda, impeccably well thought out, so refined it hurts, and frankly, this bike is capable of turning its hand to just about anything this side of a motocross Grand Prix. And every time I ride a VFR, I have the same problem, because I have fun and I don't want to. You know, I'm still young, and a VFR is a sensible bike, an old man's bike, a bike for people with less imagination than your average traffic cone. But try as you might to convince yourself the VFR's really not your thing. Ride one, and I challenge you not to be won over in nanoseconds.
Take the VFR riding position, for example. It is a perfect blend of the sporty and the comfortable. Here is a bike you could just as easily spend all day on, be it tooling across town or hacking down motorways, as you could blasting down the best alpine passes you could possibly find without breaking into a sweat. And backing up this riding position that lets you do it all, there's a motor that's going to let you do it all as well.
Still only just tipping the 100 brake horsepower mark at the back wheel, the VFR's motor is as refined as the rest of the bike. There's a healthy dose of character thanks to the V4 lump behind those fairing panels, and there's a lovely, easy-going, torquey drive right off the bottom of the tacho, which means easy speed is at your disposal whenever you fancy it.
In a nutshell, Honda's VTEC is variable valve timing, and what it means in theory is that below 7,000 RPM the motor's running on 2 valves per cylinder. This doesn't quite give you optimum performance, but it does give you better torque. However, cross that 7,000 RPM watershed, we're onto 4 valves per cylinder for maximum performance. That's the theory. What you've got in practice is below 7,000 you've got normal VFR shove, just like the old bike. But across that watershed and whoosh, the whole thing picks up its skirts and heads off into the horizon, with a lovely burble coming out the exhaust as well. It could even be called a little bit exciting.
The chassis saw a host of updates when this model came in last year too, with a stiffer and revised steering head, frame spars and frame brackets, which all mean better control and more responsiveness when you're tramping off.
Link brakes still come as standard on the VFR, which means a little bit of back brake gives you a bit of front brake and vice versa. But to be honest, in practice, you're unlikely to notice them at all. What you will notice is plenty of stopping power everywhere. Although, if you want 10/10ths braking, you're still going to have to take a fair old tug on that lever. So there we have it, the Honda VFR. Still a legend after all these years, and still the best sports tourer that money can buy. Now it's time for the scores.
Performance, 9 out of 10. Excels at nothing, but is great at everything. Style, 7 out of 10. Never going to be stunning anyone, but it's kind of pleasingly smooth and chunky enough to get away with. Comfort, 9 out of 10. Yes, you could spend all day, all night, all of the next day, and probably an entire month aboard one of these without coming to any grief. Reliability, 10 out of 10. If the dinosaurs had motorbikes, they were probably VFRs, and if you buy one of these, chances are you'll be able to run it for 100,000 miles before you finally decide you've had enough of the colour and you chop it in for another one. Value for money, 8 out of 10. You pay a premium to buy one, be it new or second hand, but they hold their money well and they will probably last forever.